there, fellow Star Wars nerds, and welcome to Unlimited Content, the podcast where two brothers talk about all of Star Wars film and TV in chronological order on the internet as an excuse to hang out more. We're your hosts, Sam and Jack, and this week we're talking about The Clone Wars, Season 1, Episodes 19 through 21, the Ryloth arc. Sam, we're back.
We're
doing it again.
We are doing it again, and I would disagree. We're probably not talking about Ryloth. You know, we're probably talking about Ahsoka episode 5. Let's be real.
This is the Ahsoka episode 5 episode. Yeah, I mean, we'll spend
where we also
part of the episode talking
arc.
about Ryloth.
This is very important. We have to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a very huge arc, but it happened to come when it's time for Ahsoka episode 5. Jack,
for
how
one of the
are
biggest
you?
episodes of any Star Wars thing in recent memory.
Yeah. Biggest since, like, Shattered. Except, like, we knew what was going to happen, but not how it was going to happen.
Kinda, yeah.
So maybe bigger than that.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm good. It is finally in Texas, in Austin, where I am, below 100 degrees. We were we were in triple digit weather like constantly for like 2.5 months, something like that. And this past week we finally dipped below 100 degrees, and we got some rainstorms. That was nice. So it's starting to feel nice. It's not, definitely not fall weather yet. It's still like in the 90s most of the time, but like,
yeah,
compared to being in the triple digits all the time and having no rain, it's like, the world feels better now.
Yeah, life is bearable again. This is great.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, well that's good for you. I'm glad. It's in the 60s right now here in Kansas City. So
cool.
Welcome to the Midwest,
Thanks.
man. Dude, come to the Midwest. It's so much nicer.
Yeah. I think I told you I have some friends that moved to Colorado recently, and they're like, it's just so nice there all the time right now.
It's unfair how nice it always is in Colorado. It's probably why it's so expensive to live there. Which is also probably why I don't live there. Yeah. So
I now have an excuse to go visit there at some point.
You do?
So that's cool. Other
than like Purple Mountain's majesty.
Indeed.
Yep. Jack, how are you? What's going on? What's new in your life?
Not much new, honestly. Just like continuing to live and exist and try to survive and going to therapy and being better and having my job and enjoying my regular weekends now.
Ooh, that's a good feeling.
You know what I don't enjoy though, Sam, is bills.
No,
that we have to pay.
I was trying to think of it
all the time. Every time.
Like, the whole time you were talking, I was thinking, I was like, how can I segue this? But you already did it.
I got you covered. Don't worry. And you know what? You know who else has us covered is our sponsor. Because this week, this episode of Unlimited Content is brought to you by Soup. Soup is great.
Soup is great.
You can just it's cheap, it's healthy, and you can make a bunch of it at the beginning of the week and then just have a whole week of meals.
Dude,
and that's what I did. Yesterday, I made taco soup, and so I've got
I love taco soup
in my fridge. Yeah, it's super simple. The recipe that we use, I got it from Mom, which is the one that we use at home. But it's like
it's so
easy because it's basically just like you brown like ground beef. Although I used a ground turkey because it's
healthier.
One, it's healthier, and also I could get it 99% lean, which means I don't have to drain any fat. So it's just
that's incredible. That's so, and in soup, it doesn't really matter if like you got juicy meat or not because it's soup.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. So you brown the meat and then you pour in like 4 cans of Rotel, a can of corn, 2 cans of ranch style beans, and then you add like taco seasoning and ranch dressing mix, and then just stir all that up and let it simmer for a while, and that's it. It's super simple,
incredible,
and
I love it.
Yeah, and it's really good. And then I like to just this makes it slightly less healthy, but I like to slather it with sour cream and shredded cheese and eat it with chips. So,
as one does. I think it's a crime to not do that. Look, you can't have taco soup and not do that. You know,
it's very important.
It's very good. Very, very good. Speaking of new cool food things that we do at our houses, we got an air fryer.
Ooh,
it's a game changer, man. We made air fried shrimp and had it with like Alfredo pasta tonight.
That sounds delicious.
It's so good. It's so good. We're trying to eat healthier in the Kansas City Ford House, and air fryer is going to make it happen. because it tastes like fried food. It's not fried, and
that's excellent.
that's all I want.
That's rad. Yeah, I've found that I like whenever I get chips now, I pretty much always get baked chips because it's just like it's a lot healthier and or a lot less bad for you, I should say, I guess.
Yes.
And I also tend to like I feel less gross after eating like a bag of baked potato chips versus like actual like fried potato chips. I'm like, yeah, it's just it's there's less garbage in it, and I think my tastes have changed to the point where I think it tastes better. So like
good,
just
that's
some
huge.
good, like some like sour cream and onion potato chips, but they're baked. It's delicious.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. Oh yeah, love it. We want to see some cool.
It's been a time. Yeah. Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
Listeners, you can't see this, but Sam has a new Apple Watch. We took a brief break. Sam had to do some dad things, and now he's back. And he's showing me he got a new wristband for his Apple Watch, and it's orange and it's got the rebellion symbol on it.
It's very cool. I'm very happy about it.
It looks rad.
Yeah, big fan. So, Jack,
what were we talking about? It's been like an hour.
Yeah,
it's not been an hour, but it's been like 10 minutes.
Not 10 minutes, like 5. I don't know.
Sure.
Time is weird. I'm tired. So Texas isn't hot anymore. That's nice. What else have you been doing?
Correct. Let's see. What I've been up to is kind of more of the same. Keeping up with Ahsoka, of course. Which we will talk about. Oh yes. And playing some video games. Play a little bit of Starfield. I'm having trouble getting into Starfield. It's like, I don't know. It's very like unfocused. It's sort of like it's very open ended. There's a lot to do, but I just like I'm having trouble kind of finding like a through line, like a direction for what I want to do.
That sounds frustrating.
I can get into it, but like it's I feel like it's my experience with the game so far has felt like it feels a lot like Bethesda's past RPGs, like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and stuff, but like it feels like it has less personality to it. It's just kind of like generic space travel themed, and it's not bad. It's just it's not engaging me in the way that I hoped it would. But I am hoping to get back into it. But I also really want to get back into Baldur's Gate 3 because like this is one of those occasions where it's like it's kind of unfortunate that those two games came out so close to each other, because Baldur's Gate 3 is so good and so like dense with interesting things and full of characters that are full of personality, and there's interesting stories and everything. And by comparison, like at least so far, Starfield it's a different sort of game, but just the fact that they're juxtaposed so closely, it's like it just Starfield feels so much kind of emptier and less exciting and engaging to me, at least. So it's one of those cases where like if Starfield had come out at a different time or in a different year where Baldur's Gate 3 didn't also come out, I might feel a little more positively about it. But ever since I've been playing Starfield, I've just been thinking, man, I kind of want to just go back and play more Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's been going on with my video game plan. And then a couple things I wanted to talk about that are just like some interesting video game news that happened this week.
Yeah.
We got a couple of like Nintendo and Sony both had like online showcases where they like showed off upcoming games and things.
Sweet.
Yeah, so Nintendo had theirs, and theirs was much more. The Sony one was fine. The Nintendo one had a bunch of interesting announcements, a lot of like cool remakes and things, and previews of upcoming games. And one interesting game that I'm actually really excited for is there's a new game coming out for the Switch starring Princess Peach, where you play Peach. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is the only the second time that Peach has gotten her own game. The first time was
it like a DS game or a Game Boy Advance?
It was DS. Yeah, it was called Super Princess Peach, and it was it's in hindsight kind of a slightly problematic game, because it's like it's like a platformer, but she has like different powers, but they're all like based on different like emotions. They're basically like her mood swings are powers, and it's like kind of, yeah, it's very weird. Like
2006 was a weird time.
Indeed, no kidding. Yeah, but this one that they just announced, hold on, let me look up the title.
Do it.
It is called Princess Peach Showtime.
Showtime.
It's like a kind of an action adventure, like side-scrolling game, but it takes place in a theater, and each level is like a different play.
Ooh.
And the kind of the gimmick is that you, like, Peach gets different outfits, different costumes that she gets to wear that give her different abilities. So there's like, the first one they showed was Sword Fighter Peach, which she's like in a cool, like, sort of medieval sword fighter outfit, and she's got like a rapier and like
okay, that's cool.
There's another one that's like, yeah, it is cool. There's that, there's
and also it's also very Mario, because like new outfit, new ability, like that's just like how most of the Mario games work. So it makes sense that like costumes from place. That's cool. I like that. It's fun. Yeah,
I like that. I also like the fact that it's like they're tying it together thematically with like this the theater idea. I think it's cool, but it's kind of like its own unique concept. And yeah, it just looks cool and fun. There's Sword Fighter Peach. There's like Kung Fu Peach. There's like Pastry Chef Peach. There's Detective Peach. It looks like a delight.
Do they have Director Pikachu? Detective Pikachu.
Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
No, they don't. Although they did actually show some. There's a new Detective Pikachu game coming out that they also showed footage from. Yeah,
nice.
Detective Pikachu Returns is coming out on Switch at some point soon.
They're coming out with a new movie, because I like that movie. It was a fun movie.
I wish.
Ryan Reynolds' Pikachu was great.
That movie was great. That movie was genuinely super fun.
Did not expect it to be as heartfelt as it was. It was a good movie.
Yeah, honestly, what a quality movie. Yeah. So there's that, the Peach game. The fact that Peach is getting her own game is rad, because that's only happened once before and it wasn't great, and now this one looks super good and cool and creative.
Like that.
Yes, we do like that. Another exciting announcement, kind of like the biggest announcement that most people were kind of excited for when it happened, was that the GameCube game Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is getting a remake for Switch.
I remember that game. I remember that game being really cool. That's awesome.
Yes, it's like, of all the Paper Mario games, it is by far the most beloved. And there have been like several Paper Mario games that have come out over the past several years. Like there was one on Wii U, there was one or two on 3DS. But most of and then there was one on Switch also. But most of those have sort of been received sort of mixed, especially by like fans of the older games. People were like, it lacks a lot of the kind of the humor and the personality and the kind of unique story that those games have. So for those that don't know, the Paper Mario games are generally, they're like RPGs. So they're role-playing games with stories where you play as Mario, who's like a silent protagonist, but then there's all these different companions that you get to meet along the way, and you go on adventures to different places and you fight enemies, and it's very like heavy on story and on comedy, and the writing is very good in a lot of the games, especially the Thousand Year Door. And that is a game that came out on GameCube and has been a beloved game for a long time, and many people have wanted like a modern remake of the game for a while. There's like been fan campaigns and everything, and then just kind of out of nowhere at the end of the last Nintendo Direct this week, they revealed that it exists and it's coming out next year, and it looks very good and people are very excited, and
that's awesome.
Sam, I know you played like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
I did. I love those games.
Yeah. Paper Mario is very much similar to that. Like it's it's got a different aesthetic, but it's the same sort of like same kind of combat system, same sort of like exploration and like sense of humor. It's very like very like kind of self-aware, funny, like
the Mario, it's like the 2D open world kind of thing. Cool.
Yeah. Except like, I mean, Paper Mario is more of kind of like it's 3D. It's 3D where everything's flat because they're all paper.
Yeah,
is the premise.
Which is funny.
It's 3D. Yeah.
I remember the original like Paper Mario like commercials on TV were hilarious because it was just. Do you remember them? Because it was like Bowser but it was like literally just a cardboard cutout of Bowser, like in like an office, like a real world office, who had Princess Peach on a fishing line over a paper shredder, and it was
Man. Yeah. I miss old gaming commercials.
It was great. It was great.
Video game commercials used to have no fear in terms of how weird and
they did not have to be like, they had to be like only tangentially related to the game that they were advertising. It was awesome.
Yes. It is amazing. Old video gaming commercials bring me so much joy.
Yeah.
How absurd
very silly.
Yes.
Very silly.
Yeah. And then the last thing that they, well, I guess we didn't really get a lot of new information about this because it had its own like Nintendo Direct previously, like pretty recently. But Super Mario Bros. Wonder is
what is that? I've heard about that. What is it?
Yeah, I think we talked about it briefly, but basically it is a new 2D side-scrolling Mario game. It's the next mainline Mario, and it is like it's like the first. So like back in I think 2006, they came out with New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, and since then that game kind of defined the aesthetic and the style and the gameplay and the mechanics of Mario, like for the last 15 years or whatever. And we got a bunch of we got one for the Wii, we got one for the Wii U, we got one for the 3DS, we got Super Mario Maker 1 and 2, which were basically just like you can make your own levels in that world, and that kind of version of Mario. But we haven't had like a new kind of refresh of 2D Mario in a long time, with like a new visual style and new mechanics and things. And this one looks to be that finally. It looks super cool. That like the art style has been updated. It looks a little bit like almost claymation-y kind of in its art style. There's a bunch of new like mechanics and ideas. There's like special abilities that you can equip via badges that like give you can like equip like 1 or 2 badges at a time or something, and they give you different special abilities. Like there's one that lets you like instead of doing a wall jump, you can like jump once vertically up a wall.
Yeah.
Which looks cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a bunch of just cool aspects to that. Also, there's so many playable characters in it, which is super cool. There you can play as your standard Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Peach, but they've added Daisy, which is the first time I think the first time Daisy's ever been playable as like in a side-scrolling Mario game, which is cool.
It's always been like Mario Party and stuff, right? Like in Mario Kart.
She's been in Mario Party and Mario Sports games and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, this looks fun.
Yeah, so you can play as Daisy, which is super cool. You can play as a bunch of different Yoshis.
There's an elephant outfit. That's fun.
Yes, one of the new power-ups is you turn into an elephant. It's just an elephant power-up, and it's delightful.
I love it. I love it. Oh, this looks fun.
Yeah, nice. It looks super good. I'm super excited for it. Also, noteworthy about this game is that this is the first. This is going to be the first Mario game ever where Mario is not voiced by Charles Martinet.
That's true.
The long time voice of Mario since like Super Mario 64. He is retiring from that job, and they got a new person. They haven't revealed who it is, but they have revealed that like it's whoever's voicing Mario in the new game is not Charles Martinet. It's the new person.
Got it. So we haven't heard.
Sounds slightly different.
We've heard.
We've heard a little bit of it in the trailers. Like there's a few like little voice clips you can hear. And it sounds fine to me. It sounds a little bit different, but not in like a bad way.
Is it Chris Pratt?
Could be. They haven't told us.
Theoretically possible to be Chris Pratt.
It could be Chris Pratt. Could possibly be. Anyway, yeah, Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out in October, and I'm very excited for that. And then the other game that I'm most looking forward to that's coming out later this year comes out on the same day as Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and that is Spider-Man 2.
Oh, wow.
Very excited for this game. So this is the latest Spider-Man game from Insomniac Games. They're known for making like they made the Ratchet and Clank series, and they've been around for a long time. But in recent years, they have been they released a Ratchet and Clank game for the PS5 called Rift Apart that was very good. But other than that, they've been working on Spider-Man games. So in 2018, they came out with their own new Spider-Man game. And it was very, very good. It's like one of the best, if not the best, superhero game to come out since like the Batman Arkham games.
Whoa.
It's very good. It's do you remember the Spider-Man 2 like movie adaptation game on the PlayStation 2 that we had?
Yes.
Growing up.
It's very silly.
So Yeah, it was very silly and very fun, and like that game for a long time was, I think, a lot of people's like kind of high watermark for Spider-Man games, because it had the web slinging in it was so good. Like, it felt good to swing around the city, and it was like,
it also was like a real map of New York too. Like, it was like,
yes, it was like a big, like, felt like, you know, actually exploring New York.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man 2018 is basically like that, but, you know, with modern graphics and a really, really good original story and great performances, and it's beautiful and amazing. It's, anyway, great game. And then they came out with Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was a sequel, but kind of like a half sequel, sort of. It's like a, you know, like
an in-between
smaller game. It's an in-betweequel. Exactly. Yes. That's the term. Where you get to play as, of course, Miles Morales. And it's super good. And it's shorter. But it's, I think that was honestly for the better. Like, I liked it better than the first Spider-Man game, because it was like, you know, it's kind of just a more concentrated story, and it didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome or anything. It's just, anyway, excellent game.
Yeah.
And now Spider-Man 2 is coming out, the official, like, big sequel, and it looks great. It's on PS5, so it looks beautiful, of course, and Insomniac knows what they're doing, so they're, you know, it looks great, and it looks like it's going to play great, and you get to play as both Spider folks.
Ooh.
In it. You get to play as both Peter and Miles, and like switch between them. They expanded the map really big, like much more. So like, for the first couple games, it was just like, it was the island of Manhattan. So still, it's really big. Like, it's not like an actual like 2 scale version of Manhattan, but it's like big enough that it feels like it is. You know?
Sure.
And it looks great, and it's super fun to swing around in. But for Spider-Man 2, they expanded it to add, I think, Queens and Brooklyn are now also places you can go to, which is rad. You can like cross the Brooklyn Bridge and like go to Brooklyn now, which is cool.
That's awesome.
So that's super exciting. And then also they there's a bunch of different villains that they've revealed are going to be in it. Like Kraven the Hunter is going to be one of the villains.
Wow, nice.
And then the big one is Venom. Venom's going to be in it.
Ooh.
So they're doing the whole Venom thing with the symbiote suit and all that. So that'll be exciting to see.
That will be exciting.
Yeah. So very excited for that game. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite superhero.
Same.
He's one of my favorite characters. He's very close to my heart, and I love these games, and I'm super excited to get that. And we're getting Mario on the same day. It's going to be a good day. And it's like late October, so it's around my birthday. So it feels like these are like 2 birthday gifts for me.
This year or next year? This year?
This year.
Yes.
Nice. Yes, next month.
Sweet.
Yeah, man, it is. Yeah, it's September now. So it's next month is when we're getting these. Man, it's only a month away. I'm so excited.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So that's Jack's video game soapbox for this week. Just lots of cool, exciting games to be excited about. And I love Spider-Man. And yeah. What about you, Sam? What have you been up to? What's your week been like?
I've been playing some video games, specifically the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. Finally got it on Steam because I'm a dork, and of course I'm playing that game because I only know how to play games I've played before. And I love it, except it's kind of glitchy, which is kind of frustrating. I got to figure out how to make that work better on my computer. It's possible that like I wouldn't be surprised if there are like some mods you can download online that a lot of old games will have like fan patches, even on Steam. Yeah, I mean, like you wouldn't get it through Steam. You could, but like you would go to there's like a website called Nexus Mods. Like I said, you would link to it, but it's like please do. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Battlefront 2 has some mods available for it. Yeah. And some of those might be like performance improvements or like fan patches to fix glitches and stuff that happens sometimes with older games. Yeah, it's really frustrating because like there'll be times where the screen will just go black, and I can't see like it's just nothing. Yeah, which is not great. But yeah, no, the night I got it, I like did almost the entirety of episode 3 in the campaign, and it was awesome. Oh, excellent. Awesome. I loved it. I got to the storming of the Jedi Temple during Order 66, which is like the hardest level because because Jedi's the hardest characters to fight against, and you're just getting bum rushed by like dozens of Jedis all at once. And yeah, it's and like the hardest part of the level I think is which this isn't in the movie or anything, but it like you have to apparently the 501st and Palpatine are trying to like steal the Jedi archives and like download them all, but the Jedi are trying to destroy the archives so that you can't get it. So you have to like stop the Jedi from destroying the archives, but like the timing is really random on like there's like 6 like bookcases that you have to like protect, and by the time you get there, like 3 of them are already gone, and yeah, and like it's like they blow up very fast, and it's not great. And there have been times that like I've gotten there, died immediately, and then I respawn on like the furthest point you can from the respawn point, and then by the time I get there, it's over. And it's just like you can't. Yeah, it's like I had one shot and it didn't work, so it's frustrating.
You missed your chance.
Yeah, but
this opportunity comes once in a lifetime, Sam. Do not miss your chance.
Hate you.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah. So that's been fun. Did that, and then in other completely unrelated, Sarah and I got a projector. Like
you,
but like we got it at Aldi. Like, you ever shopped at Aldi's before?
I'm aware. I've never been. I've heard it's a magical place.
It is a magical place.
I've never been to an Aldi.
And there's this random aisle in the middle of the store that always just has the most random like Aldi branded junk. It's just like we've gotten like, oh gosh, what the stuff we've gotten there before, I've gotten Marion shoes there. Like her favorite pair of shoes are like Minnie Mouse shoes, and they're like Crocs with like Minnie Mouse's face on them. And I got those there. Random like Tupperware, which makes sense to get a grocery store. But then like they'll have like fire pits like that you can hook up a propane tank to. Just like random, the most random junk, or like exercise equipment, or like stuff for like a travel thing for like a bicycle. Like a travel like toolkit, but they had a projector for $70 at Aldi, and so I got it. And Sarah and I have been watching stuff. We have like this one big blank wall. It's the wall that's right behind me. And we have been in bed just like watching like stuff, like watching movie. We watched Sarah's big into Halloween, so we've started watching Halloween movies. We watched Beetlejuice the other night, which I had never seen.
Excellent,
and it's a great movie. 10 out of 10, recommend.
I have also never seen it. That should be on my I should watch that this Halloween season.
Yeah, very weird. I did not expect it to be as like weird. It's like it's a Tim Burton movie starring Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, and it's like a lot raunchier than I thought it would be. Like, oh yeah, Beetlejuice is like he's like a skis, like he's like pretty like 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 the worst kind of used car salesman, but also like the devil, like, and just like wow, yeah, very like intentionally misogynistic, just because like and just like too sexual to like, but like also he's disgusting, like he just like looks like a homeless person who's like overly sexualizing any female character on screen, and it's gross, but like in a funny way, because like it's supposed to like be like he's disgusting, and so it's not like glorifying it anyway. It's just like, no, he's gross, and this is what gross people do. No, I get it. Yeah, sure. So, but it's very funny. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I would watch it. Alec Baldwin as like a 20-year-old was like in this movie as like one of the main characters. Yeah, and Winona Ryder as a 17-year-old. She was the kid in the movie. Winona Ryder. This movie came out in like 88. Right, I did know that. Yeah, yeah. Like she plays like a high school kid. And it's like, oh wow, I've never seen her like in a young, like I've seen her like in as like a young adult, but never like as a kid, you know. So it was kind of didn't expect it, but it was cool. It was really good. So we're doing that. We've also we started to rewatch Supernatural. Did you ever watch Supernatural? The TV show? I've not. I'm aware of it. I know about it, but like I've never seen it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're watching that. We went to Half Price Books and I got the first 3 seasons of Supernatural for like $25 on DVD. Nice. So we're watching that right now. Oh yeah, amazing. If they had like the entire first 10 seasons, but I was like, let's get the first. Like we watched a couple, but then we pace ourselves. Let's pace ourselves. Like I don't want to spend $100 on DVDs and then like we like don't wind up watching them. But we're watching them, so we'll probably go back in a couple weeks and get more. Yeah, but yeah. So that's that, and Ahsoka is all I've been up to. Let's be honest. Cool. So
Well, speaking of which,
speaking of Ahsoka,
should we get into that?
Can we please?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, listeners, the episode we're talking about is episode 5 of Ahsoka. Where we left off at the end of the last episode is Ahsoka got knocked into the ocean and then woke up in the world between worlds, and Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, was there, and also Sabine left to go to the unknown regions with Baylan Skoll, and it was a big old cliffhanger, and it's very exciting. And then we got this episode, and it was I don't know about you, Sam. I thought it was pretty incredible. Like
one of the best episodes of Star Wars live action television ever, and best Star Wars content I've seen in a long time. Bar none.
It's so good.
I never rewatch things. I watched it twice, and we'll probably watch it again before the next episode comes out. I never rewatched episodes of television, unless it's
I'm probably gonna watch it again before the next episode.
Yeah. I've watched it twice. Probably we'll watch it the third time. It's that good. It's so good.
Yes. This episode feels like kind of the culmination of everything Dave Filoni's been doing up to this point, because it's this so most of the episode takes place in the world between worlds, or in kind of visions that Ahsoka and Anakin are sharing together, and it's we get Anakin Skywalker as Hayden Christensen and Anakin Skywalker fighting Ahsoka in a lightsaber duel in the world between worlds, and then we get the two of them we get essentially flashbacks to the Clone Wars in live action. We get to see Anakin young early Clone Wars Anakin in his Clone Wars general outfit, basically, and we could see a bunch of early Gen 1 clone troopers, and then we cut ahead to the Siege of Mandalore. We don't really see Mandalore itself. Everything's kind of shrouded in fog and stuff, but
but you can tell it's the Siege of Mandalore.
Because we see a Death Watch guy, right, at one point. And we get to see young Ahsoka. They cast a young actress to play young Ahsoka in kind of beginning and end of Clone Wars. Yeah, Ahsoka, and so we got to see live action version of that era of Ahsoka, and we got to see very exciting. We got to see live action Rex for the first time. Finally, Rex was there, and he said a line. He had a line. Yeah, and it was and
it was voiced by Tamora Morrison, which was awesome.
Yes, incredible. Just getting to see these moments, and it was kind of a distillation of everything that we got out of Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship in the Clone Wars series, but kind of distilled down into a few short scenes in one episode, but in live action. And so it was just a really cool, there's so many cool things to love about this episode. But that definitely, the highlight of it was definitely that whole sequence, the series of scenes with Anakin and Ahsoka, and them kind of him quote unquote completing her training, basically. Yeah.
Man, it was unreal how just good watching this episode felt. First off, the actress who played young Ahsoka in the flashback scenes, she did a great job of portraying. Yeah. And I believe she was the actress who played young Gamora in Avengers Endgame, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
The what did it cost?
Yeah. Yeah. In Thanos'
I can see that,
Soulstone flashback thing. She played young Gamora. She did a really, really good job. And I think what hit me this episode, watching this episode of Ahsoka, that doesn't come across in the Clone Wars, is just the fact that Ahsoka is a child soldier.
It's harder to tell when they're in animated form, but when you see an actual real person playing her, it's oh, she's 14. She's a middle schooler. Yeah, she's a kid. Yeah. And here she is having to fight in a war, and there's an interesting a lot of what Anakin and her talk about during these scenes is the idea of Ahsoka being we shouldn't be doing this. This isn't what I trained for. This isn't the Jedi way to be fighting a war and to be surrounded by violence and death, and Anakin kind of talks to her and is like, yeah, well, I mean, when I was being trained, when I was growing up, it was different. We were peacekeepers, and now we're soldiers, and that's just that. We have to adapt to the times, and that's the time that you're growing up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that whole like. It's fascinating to get to see kind of these conversations that we've had sort of in some form before in an animation, but seeing it with live action actors and like, yeah, it's just super cool, and it also just feels very validating of the animated shows in a way to be like, like yes, like I mean, obviously Ahsoka herself getting her own live action show was already amazing, but like the fact that we get these Clone Wars flashbacks and these like sort of retellings of moments from that we've already seen, and it's like, yes, these are important, these are integral to the overall plot of Star Wars and the arc of Ahsoka as a character, and it's an important part of the Star Wars universe, and kind of giving it its due.
Absolutely, yeah, it was, and it was cool because it was clear that Hayden Christensen watched Clone Wars, because like he was acting like the Anakin we see in the Clone Wars TV show, and not exactly like
he's a little more Matt Lantery.
Yeah. He was portraying that version of the character rather than the version of the character he played in episodes 2 and 3. Which, like, no disrespect to the versions he played in 2 and 3, like he did a great job. And like I think watching all of this like makes me appreciate his performance in the prequel movies all the more. Just like it was just so good to see him blend Matt Lanter's interpretation of Anakin Skywalker and his own. And then bring more to the character through this episode was so good. It was so it was amazing. I have no words other than like just nothing but praise for this.
Yes, and I think it was especially cool to like, it occurs to me that we've never really gotten to see Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker be like like a leader or a mentor. And this is the first time we've gotten to see him be like, be a Jedi Master, be, kind of training Ahsoka and kind of giving wisdom and like showing that he's like, he's not just like a cocky, talented kid, because that's kind of all we get to see of him in the prequel films.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Clone Wars, we get to see him kind of in his element, and we understand like this is why he commands so much respect, and this is like what makes him such a good general and such a good Jedi. And it's not just talent, it's hard work, and it's a lot of like hard-earned wisdom, and we don't get to see a lot of that. We see a lot of the immaturity, and we see a lot of the kind of the relationship between him and his superiors, but not between him and the people that like see him as a superior. And so like it's just cool to get to see that side of Anakin portrayed by Hayden Christensen.
Yes. Gosh, it was so good. And then like his like blending of the like Clone Wars Anakin and Revenge of the Sith Anakin and Darth Vader, like, and just like weaving between the two as like those different versions of Anakin were encountering Ahsoka, and like because that whole sequence I thought was kind of just about like Ahsoka's quote unquote final lesson was, can she make the decision that Anakin himself was unable to make? Can she choose life rather than decide that death is the way? Right? That was like, it was life or death was kind of like what he kept saying. Like, do you choose life or do you choose death? Do you choose like to be defeated or do you choose to conquer? Like that was kind of like the options, and she chose her own kind of like middle way almost. Like she didn't choose death, she didn't choose to be defeated, but she chose to conquer through the Jedi way. It's through the same Jedi way that like Luke beat Vader in episode 6, where like I'm not going to fight you, and he throws the lightsaber. Like Ahsoka did the same thing. Like, I'm not going to fight you, and throws lightsaber. And Anakin says like, I've heard that line before, and like it was really, really cool. Just kind of like it was I could, oh man.
Yeah. And that's not even the whole episode. Like that could have been an entire episode, but then on top of that, we got a couple different things. We got this framing device that's kind of like, the meanwhile of like Hera and Chopper and and Jason,
Yeah.
kind of looking for Ahsoka, trying to figure out where she is and where Sabine went and everything, and just kind of trying to solve that mystery. And we get some really cool moments of like Hera and Jason interacting, but specifically of like Jason kind of doing some Force stuff, like, you know, sensing in the Force, like he can tell that things are happening in the world between worlds, and that like Ahsoka's fighting Anakin, and like just kind of just these cool moments of like he has Force abilities, and they acknowledge that, and so they're like, no, like keep flying around the ocean and trying to find Ahsoka because she's out there, and Jason knows it, and you know, that was really cool. That whole sequence was rad, and then
we got a Kane and Jarrus name drop. That was great.
Yes, that was cool. And then after they find her, we get a really cool sequence of like essentially seeing kind of a new version of Ahsoka. You know, she's kind of come out of her sort of chrysalis, and like we get like a new, you know, she gets a new outfit. Yeah, she's got like this kind of bright, the kind of lighter colored, flowy outfit that looks very like kind of wise like light side Jedi sort of like. It's super cool, and she's clearly like more kind of at peace with herself and her like
we see her a lot, like she's much more smiley now. Like she has been very sullen, very somber, very introspective, very like clearly has her guard up all the time, and now she's relaxed. She's like, I don't know where we're going, but we're gonna follow the Force is gonna take us, it's gonna be great. And like she's just like at peace, just trusting in the Force, and not like you can tell she's not white knuckling it anymore. Like she, and it's so good. It's very much, and I'm pretty sure this was intentional, like a Gandalf the Great, a Gandalf the White kind of thing. Because Dave Filoni is a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, and I know that like it had to have been intentional, like because she was wearing dark gray clothes from basically from the last time we saw her in Rebels until, other than like the Rebels flashback, which I don't know, and up until like. Right before this, or right before she went to the World Between Worlds, she was wearing like dark gray, almost black, like clothes. And she comes out and she's wearing light gray, almost white. Like it's a very, and she's much happier. She's much more in touch with herself and with the Force, and like it seems like she got a lot of closure from that encounter with Anakin that she like wasn't able to have before. Yeah,
and then we immediately get like an immediate demonstration of kind of this changed Ahsoka, because I feel like, okay, how do we get to the unknown regions? How do we follow Sabine and get to them? And Ahsoka's like, I think I have an idea. And they go and they find the Purrgil up in the sky, and then Ahsoka like talks to one of the Purrgil with the Force. And then she's like, okay, let's fly inside this giant Purrgil. They literally fly her ship inside of a Purrgil and then let it take them to God knows where. But it's like, it was such a cool, beautiful sequence. Like, what an amazing like way to end that episode.
It was
like,
so good.
Incredible. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention is that you mentioned Lord of the Rings, and like, I think Dave Filoni is he's definitely a Lord of the Rings fan, and I think there's been some like references to Lord of the Rings throughout some of his Star Wars work. And one thing in particular, like there's a track on the soundtrack for Star Wars Rebels Season 2. I think it's the music that plays at the end of Twilight of the Apprentice. And it's called Where the Sun Sails and the Moon Walks, which is a quote from one of the Lord of the Rings books, apparently. So that's cool.
That does sound Tolkien-y. That's for sure.
So very excited to,
my gosh.
Like what an incredible episode. What an amazing, like, so many cool like things that we finally got that we've been wanting for forever. Like, I mean, you know, live action Purrgil, we got a little bit of that already, but like, you know, we got more of that. We got Ahsoka the White. We got like getting to see, you know, live action Clone Wars era Anakin. We got to see live action Clone Wars era Ahsoka. We got to see live action Rex. We got to just so many cool, amazing moments, and it just all, you know, so many things from both the Clone Wars and Rebels coming together in this one episode, and it like I said, it feels like the culmination of all the Filoni things up to this point.
Yeah,
being like it was like as soon as I finished watching that episode, I was like, that is the Dave Filoni shit I wanted. That's the good Dave Filoni shit.
Yes,
like
dude,
good,
we
awesome
haven't even seen
character development, awesome Force stuff.
Yeah, we haven't even seen Thrawn yet. Like,
yeah.
It's gonna get so much better.
We haven't gotten.
Holy crap!
we haven't gotten to the Unknown Regions. We haven't seen Ezra. We haven't seen Thrawn. And we got this incredible episode. And like, man, it's
nuts.
This is a great show. This is it's so good.
Star Wars fans are eating good right now. This is good.
Delicious.
It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. Oh man. One thing I noticed about this would be a nice transition to our discussion for this week's arc, is the first Clone Wars sequence we see in Ahsoka Episode 5 takes place on Ryloth. Did you notice that, Jack?
Yes, we see some Twi'leks in the background,
Yeah, and Ryloth, the home planet of Hera Syndulla, and we meet her dad this arc as the freedom fighter Cham Syndulla, the Twilight freedom fighter on the planet of Ryloth. He is a very interesting character that we see a lot going forward. And he,
I believe we met him once before.
Oh, did we?
There was one episode. It was the episode with I'm a Gundai. There was one episode that took place on Ryloth, and Cham Syndulla was there for that episode. But this is the first episode where we really get to know him, and it's like, we get to understand what. Yeah, we get to understand like what his deal is, and kind of the central conflict of what will end up, what will end up being the center of his story for the course of the Clone Wars and beyond. So yes, exciting times.
Oh yeah.
Man. Yeah, actually, there were some cool, like, after having watched that episode of Ahsoka and then watching this arc, there were some interesting moments of, like, kind of some sort of serendipitous, like, that there's, like, some connections between this arc and the episode that we saw. And, like, with obviously, like you said, Ryloth, but also with, like, getting to see, both this arc and with the episode of Ahsoka, we got some, like, Ahsoka trying to, learn how to deal with and face death in war, and Anakin kind of talking her down and being like, this is something you have to deal with. This is war, and this is the way the times are. And we got a bit of that in both, and then of course the Syndulla connection. We got to see Cham Syndulla in this arc, and then we got to see his daughter and his grandson in the Ahsoka episode. So we also, and we'll get more into this, but we get to see the just Anakin's intensity as a Jedi Master, training a Padawan. Like, we get to see that in all this. We probably just jump in, like we are. Yes.
So let's do it.
We have 3 episodes to get through.
we have 3 episodes to get through, and and it's already 10 o'clock at night. We should do that. All right. So this episode, and all 3 of these episodes, take place in 22 BBY. Wait, no. Oh gosh, I'm a fool. 21 BBY. Bad Habits Die Hard.
Yeah, we're in 21. Yeah. By the way, this is the last. This is the last full arc that takes place in season 1 that we're going to be watching. After this, we'll have seen every season 1 episode except for the last one, which like takes place significantly later chronologically, and it's part of another arc. So, like,
wait, what?
Yeah,
you're right.
So like the next episode, it's like some with a kidnapping or the Senate or something. I don't remember. Whatever. Point is, there's one. The last episode of season 1 takes place way later and is part of a larger arc.
It does.
Like mainly takes place in season 3, I think.
Yeah, so, you're right. It takes place. Oh wow! So we're recording episode 22 of the podcast. That will be episode 35. So yeah, significantly later.
Yeah, we're basically done with season 1, just not exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I guess I do the the reading this time. Yeah, we got 3 episodes, so we can alternate, so you can do the middle one if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So, the first episode of this arc is Storm over Ryloth. The moral is, it is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. And now, the Admiral Yularen thing, which, by the way, Admiral Yularen is in this episode a bunch.
Yeah, so. he's a major player in this arc. It's fun.
Yep. All right, episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. Planet Ryloth invaded. Subjected to a brutal droid occupation, the people of Ryloth are starving under the blockade of a separatist fleet. Evil separatist leader Wat Tambor now rules with an iron fist. Answering a plea from the Senate, the Grand Army of the Republic mounts a bold offensive to liberate the system. It is up to Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka to make way for Obi-Wan's ground assault.
I love Wat Tambor. He's so weird.
Yeah, he's so weird, and I also love his name is fun to say. Wat Tambor.
Wat Tambor.
It's good.
He walks around.
Techno Union boy.
He's a Techno Union boy. He walks around like he doesn't really walk. He kind of just glides, which I assume like on wheels, like one of those like hoverboard things is kind of what I imagine he's riding under his robes. But he also he's on a Segway all the time. Yeah. But he also like reminds me of Evil Emperor Zurg. The way he like moves around,
and his shape is kind of Zurg. He's got kind of that weird sort of cylindrical head, like yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So here we go. So aboard a Lucre Hulk class battleship flanked by 2 Munificent class frigates over Ryloth, Neimoidian Captain Mar Tuk receives orders from Emir Wat Tambor, who emphasizes that the Republic cannot invade Ryloth. Mar Tuk assures Emir Tambor. Emir, is that his first name? Interesting. Emir Tambor that their blockade is impenetrable. Is it the word? And that the Republic that the Republic will get quite a surprise when they arrive. The Resolute, Defender, and Redeemer arrive in the system. Ahsoka Tano boards her fighter, mentioning to her new droid R787 that this is her first time leading a squadron. Anakin Skywalker stops by to give her some encouragement, quote unquote. I wouldn't really call it encouragement. He's just like, go get him. You got it.
So you got it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. This will be great. Whatever.
Yeah. Wait, it'll be fine. And Ahsoka leads her squadron out of Resolute. Her squadron checks in and receiving the order from Anakin and Admiral Yularen. There's our boy. She charges the Separatist blockade, leading Axe, Slammer, Kickback, Tucker, and Swoop. Great clone names. After cutting,
Emir is a title. It looks like.
Oh.
It says Emir was a title of rulership or authority over others. Early in the Clone Wars, the foreman of the Techno Union, Wat Tambor, was appointed Emir of Ryloth during the Separatist occupation of that planet.
I see.
So it's a title.
It's a title. Got it. Cool. All right. Yeah. Thank you. After cutting a path to the lead Separatist ship, Ahsoka advances with her group. However, 4 more Munificent class frigates suddenly jump out of hyperspace and join the blockade. Admiral Yularen and Anakin both order Ahsoka back to the ship, but she stubbornly insists on pushing forward. Tucker's V-19 Torrent Starfighter is destroyed by the advancing Vulture droids, and Ahsoka finally obeys orders and turns back. But the Vulture droids begin to sacrifice themselves, ramming themselves into the Resolute. This was nuts. That they were like they're just like kamikazing like Vulture droids into the ship, and it like was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah. Although Anakin ends up doing the same thing later with one big ship.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Y'all have already probably watched this episode before you listen to it. It's fine.
I hope so.
That's what you're supposed to do, everyone. That's what you should be doing. Do it.
Come on.
Do it. All right. Here we go. So, where am I? Tucker's V-19 Starfighter is destroyed by the advancing Vulture droids, and Ahsoka finally obeys orders and turns back, but the Vulture droids begin to sacrifice themselves, ramming themselves into the Resolute. One droid heads for the cruiser's bridge, and Admiral Yularen is severely injured. After losing Axe as well, Ahsoka and what remains of her squadron make it back to the Resolute. The Redeemer is too damaged to retreat and falls apart, but the Defender and Resolute manage to jump to hyperspace. In the hangar, Anakin orders a head count to determine how many pilots were lost, and then reprimands Ahsoka for disobeying orders. Ahsoka learned this trait from Anakin himself, but still takes responsibility, and is severely dejected that she lost so many men. Anakin tries to console her, quote-unquote, by stating that it was a trap, and this and that this is the reality of war, which is a theme we see in this week's episode of Ahsoka. He's just like, well, that'll happen. It's war. That's just kind of his MO. That's like really his only like way to console is like, you should have expected this. That's on you. Very very emotionally aware, Anakin Skywalker. All right. Anakin tries to console her, stating that it was a trap, and this is the reality of war. Captain Rex informs Anakin that Jedi General Mace Windu is demanding a progress report, and he leaves the hangar. Meanwhile, Tambor congratulates Took on his success, but warns him not to underestimate the Jedi. Took then orders a droid to bring him whatever archive data there is on Skywalker, seeking to learn more about his opponent. Anakin reports his losses to Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan reminds Anakin to give his Padawan time to recover, but that he will need her help to complete the mission. Time is running short, and despite losing almost half his forces, Obi-Wan and Mace give Anakin one planetary rotation to breach the blockade, or they'll have to postpone the invasion. Anakin stresses that the Twilight people can't wait much longer, and the invasion must go on. Ahsoka sits with an unconscious Admiral Yularen and mournfully apologizes for her failure. Rex then calls her away to Anakin, whom she finds in the hangar bay, repairing her starfighter with the help of R2-D2. Anakin then tells her they need to proceed with their attack on the blockade. Ahsoka, still shaken from her earlier failure, questions her readiness. Anakin receives a call from the Defender and orders Ahsoka back to her quarters to cool off. Meanwhile, Took, certain that Skywalker will counterattack, orders his droids to their battle stations. Alarms sound on the Resolute, and Ahsoka exits quarters to find clone troopers running to stations. A clone trooper reports to Ahsoka that the Defender is being evacuated for an unknown reason. When she arrives at the hangar, everything from the Defender is being loaded onto the Resolute. Anakin credits Ahsoka with the inspiration for his latest plan. He proposes that he will pilot the Defender alone into the lead battleship, taking out the enemy commander and thus leaving only easily outmaneuver battle droids in command. Ahsoka thinks it's a reckless plan, but Anakin leaves it to Ahsoka to command the remaining forces while he remains defenseless in an escape pod after destroying the Defender. Anakin leaves on a shuttle, and, quote, Commander Ahsoka is now in charge of the Resolute. This is peak Anakin Skywalker, just like, well, good luck.
Yeah, it's very much like, yeah, this is one of his harebrained schemes, definitely.
Yep.
It's a...
Like, you'll figure it out. Like, I'm going to do this. You will figure out how to back me up. And I'm going to go. And you have until I'm about to die to figure it out.
Yeah, it was so. It was funny to me that like earlier on when Ahsoka like refuses to pull back. At first, she's like not following orders. Admiral Yularen like turns to Anakin and is like, "Did you teach her not to follow orders?" And I'm kind of like, I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Kinda did.
Yes, you did. That's exactly what you did.
I learned it from you, Dad.
I learned it from you! Alright, where are we? Where am I? Great. Ahsoka reports to the bridge of the Resolute, and Anakin is ready to get underway. Rex and the Resolute's clone navigation officer await orders. Tambor updates Captain Took with information from Count Dooku that the Republic forces are too thin to mount an effective counterattack, and that any attempt to do so would be suicide. But Took still believes Anakin is coming, and basks in the opportunity to achieve fame for the defeat of such a great warrior. Ahsoka brings Rex and the navigation officer up to speed, and they are very skeptical of their chances of success. The navigation officer accidentally blurts out that they usually have Anakin to lead them. While he doesn't mean Ahsoka any offense, she still realizes how much bigger her responsibility is. This was kind of a hard scene to watch, like from Ahsoka's perspective.
It was this. I mean, it was. I could feel her discomfort, like in that moment of like she's been put in this difficult position. She's very new to this. She's still getting over like this really bad mistake she made earlier and the guilt of that. And now she's been put in a position where she's been given this extra amount of responsibility. Like it's up to her to lead this attack and make sure that things go smoothly so that her master doesn't die. And so that they can get onto this planet and save all these starving people. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll I guess I'm here and I'm leading this. And immediately, one of the clones ends up like basically like not undermining, but like, being like, I wish we had a better leader here, essentially.
Yeah. Basically like, saying, sorry. Like, yeah, like, if you were in charge, we wouldn't be screwed. It's like what he says. Like,
yeah. Which, like, and then he's immediately like, oh, wait, sorry, I didn't, I should not have said that.
Shouldn't have told you that. Not have told you that. All right, so, yeah, the Defender emerges from hyperspace, and Anakin hails Captain Took, offering to surrender himself and his vessel, in exchange for a safe passage of food and medical supplies to the people of Ryloth. Ahsoka details the battle plan after Anakin's collision with the battleship. She intends to tilt the Resolute in a maneuver away from the frigates, using it as a screen to launch fighters that would then defeat the remaining ships. The navigation officer is doubtful and suggests taking time to come up with a better plan. Ahsoka asserts that these are her orders and that Anakin is counting on her, but corrects herself in saying that he is counting on them. Admiral Yularen returns to the bridge and supports Ahsoka, giving her much needed confidence. This was kind of a cool scene, but also I felt like it was a little cheapened by Admiral Yularen showing back up, because it was like Ahsoka like finally like stood up for herself as like, no, this is like a good plan and we're gonna be fine, and like we got to do it. And they were like, I don't know, but like until like Admiral Yularen, until this dude shows up, like it was like this little girl was like, I have a plan. It was like genuinely a good plan, and it wasn't until basically their male leader was like, no, yeah, it's a good plan. Like, oh, okay, I guess it is a good plan.
Yeah. I mean, it's I do kind of appreciate it, like the fact that like especially since like earlier Admiral Yularen clearly has like a, you know, he's frustrated with her.
Yeah, he is clearly skeptical of her abilities, for sure.
Yeah, and then in this moment he's like, he comes back and he's like, no, I trust you. I can see that you're, you know, that this is a good plan, and I'm going to back you up on this, which was a cool moment.
It was a cool moment. That's for sure.
You know, there's, you know, like you said, there's an aspect of it of like, yeah, it does kind of undermine the, like, you know, the power of Ahsoka's decision in that moment, but it's also like, I think it was ultimately good for her to have that backup, especially in that moment of like where one of the clones is like, yeah, I don't know about this. Let's take some more time to think of a better plan. Which is like, on the one hand, like, first of all, you're supposed to listen to your commanding officer, which is Ahsoka at that moment.
Yes.
And also just like, clearly he, like, Ahsoka's right. They don't have time to come up with a better plan. It's now or never. And
also this guy,
his like that clone's kind of doubted her abilities because she's young. You know, leads him to like make basically a bad decision to be like, I don't know, let's try something else. Like, no, you shut up. You gotta, we gotta do something.
Yeah,
you know?
And also like this guy's he's the navigation officer. He's the map guy. He's not the strategy guy. He's the map guy. And he's like, I don't know about this. Yeah. He's literally just like in charge of the map, like, and like making sure that shit goes.
Yeah, so it should be like, you do maps, all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Shut up, MapQuest. I got this.
MapQuest.
That's his name.
Wow.
MapQuest. All right. Where was I? I keep losing my spot. All right, great. The Defender emerges from hyperspace. Anakin, no, we already read that. Oh, yeah, cool. A battle droid reports to Captain Took that scans the Defender reveal it to be heavily damaged with all power diverted to forward shields. But there is only one life form on board. Took realizes Anakin's deception, and the Resolute emerges from hyperspace. Anakin heads the Defender straight for the Separatist ship. Ahsoka heads off to command the fighter squadron, leaving Rex and Admiral Yularen in charge of the Resolute. Anakin leaves the Defender with R2-D2 and boards an escape pod. Captain Took orders all cannons to fire at the Defender, but it's already too late, and he escapes from the ship. The Defender pierces the center sphere of the battleship. The Resolute moves into position, and Ahsoka leads a squadron of Y-wing starfighters toward the blockade. The battle droids, leaderless and confused, manage to order a basic attack on the Resolute, but the Republic Y-wings and V-19 Torrents manage to rip apart the remaining ships in the blockade. Following this, 3 Acclamator-class transgalactic military assault ships carrying Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, and their troops emerge from hyperspace. Obi-Wan contacts Ahsoka, Riley commenting on the state of Anakin's invasion fleet, and Rex dispatches a shuttle to pick up Anakin's escape pod. End of part 1. Yeah, Ahsoka did it. It worked. Her plan worked. And
yes.
Like, it was like the exact plan, and things went like almost exactly the way she thought they would, and it was a really good plan, and it worked out really well. And like Ahsoka,
it was nice that she got a win in this episode. Yeah,
because she'd been beaten down. Yeah, she had been beaten down so much this episode, and it was really good to just see her kind of like able to like snap herself out of this funk that she was in, which understandable funk, but like be able to like pull herself up by her bootstraps and like actually like pull out the win in this battle. And it was a really big, decisive win. Yeah, it was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. This was a fun episode. This is good. It was a cool like insight into like Ahsoka having to be in positions of leadership for the first time, and kind of her kind of learning some lessons and gaining some confidence, and it's good. And then Anakin had a harebrained scheme where he got to throw a ship at somebody. That was cool.
Yeah, it's always fun when Anakin has harebrained schemes. They're always fun.
Yep.
All right, now
what do you say we move on to the next episode?
Let's do it. Yeah, this episode is really kind of like the heart and soul of this arc, I would say.
Definitely.
It's the most human of the 3 episodes, and it's really, really good. So the moral of this story, called The Innocence of Ryloth, which is episode 20 of season 1, the moral is the costs of war can never be truly accounted for.
Indeed.
Invasion! Separatist leader Wat Tambor has taken control of the planet Ryloth and subjugates its people through a brutal droid occupation. In a daring surprise attack, Jedi Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan Ahsoka Tano defeated the space blockade guarding the planet. Now, Jedi Generals Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi lead a massive invasion to liberate the starving people. This is a good one. Good episode. All right. So aboard an Acclimator-class transgalactic military assault ship, that's a mouthful, Mace Windu tells Obi-Wan Kenobi as he boards the Crumb Bomber. What?
The Crumb Bomber?
What is that? All right, we're taking a pause, figuring out the Crumb Bomber. The
Crumb Bomber was a low-altitude assault transport infantry gunship used by the Grand Army of the Republic during the Clone Wars against the Confederate of the Independent Systems. The ship's nose was decorated with art of a Kowakian monkey lizard holding a missile, and the Arbesh text, "Laugh this off." So it's just a specific gunship that has like some art on it.
Yeah, years later, during the Imperial era, the Lothal Cantina Old Joe's pit stop had on display the nose of a AATI gunship with the Crumb Bomber's nose art, which proprietor Joe claimed was the authentic gunship itself. Decades after that, during the Cold War, Auntie's Tavern on the Colossus platform displayed the Kowakian artwork as a part of its decor. So that's really cool that this ship we see it a lot on Lothal during Rebels. That's fun. Neat. I would have never noticed that. Easter eggs. The more you know.
It's an Old Joe's.
Yep. Crumb Bomber, great name. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. All right, so Mace Windu tells Obi-Wan as he boards the Crumb Bomber that when he takes the city of Nabat, they'll have their landing zone for the ground assault forces. However, Wat Tambor anticipates this, and Tactical Droid Commander TX-20 readies his 5 proton cannons, while using captive Twi'leks as a living shield to further protect them, estimating that the Jedi will not risk a heavy attack. Obi-Wan and Clone Commander... War crime. Yep. Obi-Wan and Clone Commander Cody. Yes. Cody. Brief Ghost Company on their mission, and while they must retake the city, they cannot destroy the Twi'leks' home, and are allowed only to use blasters and droid poppers.
I like the name droid poppers. It sounds like something you get like at a movie theater concession stand.
Yeah.
Give me some droid poppers.
Something you get like in Galaxy's Edge or something. It's just like, droid poppers. Yummy. Like jalapeno poppers, but like more metallic.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they left the tinfoil on when they fried them. It's great.
Crunchy.
Ooh, get your iron in. All right. So above, the Acclimator assault ships are attacked by the proton cannons below. Commander Pons states to Windu that the fire is penetrating their shield. Windu tasks Obi-Wan with taking the cannons out so larger transports can land. The Crumb Bomber lands with the other gunships, and Obi-Wan and the Ghost Company move towards Nabat. Droid gunners on the outskirts of Nabat pin down Ghost Company. Obi-Wan and 2 troopers, Waxer and Boyle, utilize droid poppers to take out the droids in the bunkers. After losing contact with the droids on the village's perimeter, TX-20 sends 2 recon droids to find out the Jedi's plan, while Obi-Wan dispatches Cody, Wooly, Waxer, and Boyle to scout ahead. Waxer and Boyle head south, while Cody and Wooly go to the courtyard. The latter discover the Twi'leks being held hostage in the cannon's immediate vicinity. Obi-Wan, speaking to Windu via hologram, explains that the hostages will make the mission difficult but not impossible, and he hits upon a plan to disable the guns without letting the hostages come into any danger. Unfortunately, a recon droid broadcasts their conference to TX-20, who recognizes Kenobi and begins researching his opponent, finding the Jedi is known for deceptive movements. Waxer and Boyle stumble across a young Twi'lek orphan, Numa, who is at first fearful of them. After they remove their helmets, Numa relaxes a little bit. She calls both of them Nera, or Nera. How does she say it? Nera? Nera.
I think it's Nera.
Yeah. And takes a ration bar that they give her. Waxer and Boyle move out to finish their scouting, Waxer doing so reluctantly, but Numa follows the two clones. Waxer is still worried about her, while Boyle tries to keep them focused on the mission. Numa somehow gets ahead of them and leads them into a shattered building that was once her home. Waxer and Boyle, moved by the losses the war has inflicted upon the child, take it upon themselves to keep her safe. TX-20 reveals his plan to use starved Gutkers? The Gutkers? Is that how we're going to say Gutkers?
Probably,
Yeah, to take out Republic forces. These things look like giant grasshoppers, but like carnivorous grasshoppers. They look like from it's behind, they look like Hopper from Bug's Life. Like all like the grasshoppers. they do. They have,
good.
They have. That's what they look like. I think. I don't know.
The Kevin Spacey grasshopper.
The Kevin Spacey grasshopper. That's what they are. Kevin Spacey. Yay!
Oh, good. Oh, that's even worse. Good. Oh god.
Yeah, they are all secretly Kevin Spacey.
No.
All right. So the two. Wait, where? All right, Gutkers. Right. Back to the Republic camp. Cody has noticed that Waxer and Boyle's absence and broadcasts a transmission to contact them. Seeing the Republic troops on the move, TX-20 orders the Gutkers released. The two clones receive transmission and, realizing that they are severely late, they try to brainstorm possible excuses. However, the Gutkers suddenly appear, and the two clones and Numa rush back into the house. Numa shows the clones an escape passage, and they run into the underground tunnels just in time. This escape passage thing was very reminiscent of season 1, I think, of Rebels in the Bridger household. They had tunnels just like this in Ezra's house. Same kind of lighting, same just kind of like dingy, like war torn. Like I felt like I was on Lothal, like during this part of the episode, because it's like same plot device, same like everything. It was great. I loved it. It all rhymes. Good old Star Wars. All right. So meanwhile, Ghost Company is attacked by Gutkers. Obi-Wan uses the Force to lure the creatures into an alley bordered by a bridge. Cody and his men fire at the bridge, and the Gutkers are trapped while Obi-Wan leaps out. Though the clones defeat the creature, TX-20 knows their numbers are very thin. Suddenly, Waxer and Boyle emerge from a hatch in the street nearby with Numa in tow. Obi-Wan converses with Numa in Twi'leki, who agrees to lead them to the prisoners, while Cody and his men create a diversion with Obi-Wan, Waxer, and Boyle, freeing the Twi'lek prisoners. After Obi-Wan frees the prisoners, Numa is reunited with her uncle Nilam Brill. However, a battle droid reports the rescue attempt, and TX-20 turns his AAT around. Obi-Wan takes control of a proton cannon. With the help of Waxer and Boyle, he manages to destroy the other cannons. However, a blast from TX-20's tank destroys their cannon and knocks the three to the ground. Numa runs to her clone friends and huddles close to Obi-Wan, even as he tries to push her out of line of fire. TX-20 targets Obi-Wan and Numa, laughing evilly. It was just like cartoonish laughter. Me and Sarah and Marion were all watching this together right before we recorded, and Sarah thought this was so dumb and so funny, like how this droid just like it went ha.
It's a robot.
Yeah,
doing the most robotic.
It's the most monotone. It's like it was yeah. Laughing evilly, including that Obi-Wan has lost. Incensed by the threat to Numa, the Twi'leks rush out of hiding, swarm over the tank, and tear TX-20 to pieces with their bare hands. A possibility the hyper-intelligent droid has not foreseen, as evidenced by his last words, does not compute. The
that was silly, but I liked it.
Yeah, does not compute was very, it was 80s robot, the best. The Acclimator transports land, and Mace Windu commends Obi-Wan on his victory. However, Their new objective is much harder: to take the Ryloth capital of Lesu and free this world. Waxer and Boyle say goodbye to Numa, and as the army heads toward the capital, Numa calls Nera out to Waxer and Boyle again, and Obi-Wan translates Nera means brother. Smiling, Waxer and Boyle turn and wave back at Numa before moving out toward the sun, intent on freeing this world. End of part 2.
Yeah, this is a nice episode. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One is we get to see some cool, like, Obi-Wan working with the clones to do cool strategic stuff, and like, I like the moment when like they're trying to throw the droid poppers over the wall and they can't do it, and Obi-Wan's like, "Throw it again, I'll help you," and he like pushes it with the Force.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That was cool.
And then the other moment when he like, Obi-Wan kind of uses the Force to lure all of those the Gutkers over. To like behind where that bridge is, and then he's like, "Shoot the bridge," and like traps them in there, and then he like ninjas his way, like the Jedi jumps around to get out of it.
It was great.
That was a cool moment. But yeah, like you said, this episode definitely feels like the emotional core of this arc, because we get to see like specifically the story with Waxer and Boyle.
Oh yeah.
Discovering Numa and kind of I think Waxer was initially like, we got to take care of her, we got to help her, we can't just leave her here, and Boyle's like, leave her behind, we don't get yourself killed for the sake of this one little kid. And then eventually even Boyle's like, we'll take care of you. It was a sweet kind of like, getting to see this like, this relationship build between people that can't communicate, but like, I don't know. It was just a sweet little story to get to see how they kind of helped each other, and it's a reminder. I think it's one of the good moments that we get in the Clone Wars of like the clones being reminded of like sort of the human, or quote unquote human, cost of war. Yeah, and being reminded of like what they're fighting for and what the point of it is. Yeah,
it was also like there are a couple of things that Waxer was the nicer one. And Boyle was the one who's more mission focused. Is that right? Yeah. Because like at the start of Waxer and Boyle's like them going off and looking and doing recon and stuff, Boyle was just he's just marching through and just like looking for stuff, and Waxer was like, "Man, this is a city. People used to live here, but it's empty. What happened to them? Like, what's going on?" He was just very like, you can tell Waxer is very concerned about the human element of what's going on. And then Waxer, when they meet Numa, she's clearly scared of them, and he's like, "Oh no, we're not like them." And he takes off his helmet, and she's like, "No, I'm a person. Like, I'm just like you." And then he's the one who pulls out the food and gives it to Numa. Just like very much like we're not like them. We're not droids. We're not like heartless killing machines. We're people just like you. And she responds by calling them brother.
Which is super adorable. It's great. Yeah, I like that reveal at the end.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Good episode.
Yeah. All right, and then the whole like the sequence of like them freeing all the Twi'leks, and then the fighting Wat Tambor, and they like, or not Wat Tambor, the droid guy, TX-20 or whatever his name is. Yeah, using the cannons against them, and then all the Twi'leks like just like World War Z-ing onto this tank, like just tearing him apart. And they like, I love how there's a shot where they like they're just a crowd of people on top of him on the ground, and then one of them like holds up his head. It's like, yes, we did it. Yeah, we got his head. It was great. Yeah. Well, are we ready to move on to the final episode of the arc?
I do think we are.
All right, now I'll read the thing for this one. All right, so the final episode of this arc is Liberty on Ryloth. The moral is, compromise is a virtue to be cultivated, not a weakness to be despised. And this is an episode all about Mace Windu and Chom Syndulla. So this is a good one. Republic victory is at hand. Clone troopers under the command of the Jedi have successfully invaded the separatist-occupied world of Ryloth. Anakin Skywalker battles the enemy in the skies, while Obi-Wan Kenobi frees villages from the grip of vile separatist leader Wat Tambor. Now, Jedi General Mace Windu leads the attack on the enemy lines in the final offensive to liberate the capital city of Lesu.
All right, so part 3. So as Mace Windu and his forces head to Lesu along a cliffside path with ATTE walkers. They are ambushed by several AATs. The tanks incapacitate the first walker in a line and then target the rear walkers, seeking to trap and destroy Republic forces. Mace saves the gunner, and then Commander Pons comes up to him and informs Windu that they are pinned down. Windu and Pons order Lightning Squadron out to the front, while Windu force pushes the fallen walker off a cliff, clearing the path. Lightning Squadron is deployed from the ATTEs and moves up to the front. Mace, Commander Pons, and the rest of the Lightning Squadron then overrun the tanks and droids using ATRTs and grenades. Afterwards, Pons tells Windu that they've lost 32 men along with command crews of 3 walkers. A recon droid spies on Windu and Pons, discovering that the Republic forces will reach Lesu sooner than expected and that they will need help to take Lesu. Watching the stream at his command center at Lesu, Emir Wat Tambor confers with his tactical droid TA-175, refusing to retreat despite the odds being against him. Tambor states that Windu doesn't have the troops to take the city. Tambor orders that all droids be brought into the city and to secure the bridge. In a holographic conference aboard Windu's lead ATTE in his column, Anakin Skywalker informs Mace, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, Yoda, Admiral Yularen, and Senator Orn Free Ta that his fighters have the space around Ryloth secured. Mace mentions that Obi-Wan has taken the Jixwan Desert and that the southern hemisphere of Ryloth is secure. The only thing that remains is to retake Lesu. Republic spies are certain that Tambor has his command center there. Yoda asserts that when they have taken the city, they must capture Tambor. But Mace is unsure if that is possible. Tambor has chosen his stronghold well, and with the only way in or out of Lesu being a plasma bridge. A siege could drag on indefinitely. With Republic forces stretched thin, Mace decides to enlist the help of Twi'lek resistance under the command of Cham Syndulla. Chancellor Palpatine states that Syndulla was a radical before the war and could be very unpredictable. Senator Ta mentions that before the war they were political rivals, and still are. Senator Ta states that Syndulla seeks to gain power. Windu will leave the politics to Senator Ta, but Windu will do what he must to help his people. Palpatine requests reinforcements to be sent instead, but Admiral Yularen informs him that none are available. Mace states that the Republic can't win without Syndulla's help. Mace and 2 members of Lightning Squadron discovered the site of a massacre accompanied by Twi'lek graves. Mace discovers fresh animal tracks and they hear the sound of one of the animals. Mace heads along with troopers Razor and Stack. Meanwhile, Count Dooku informs Tambor that his tactical droid has informed him of the pitiful job he has done. Tambor insists that the droid has exaggerated and asserts that he is not lost. Dooku states that Tambor is no match for Windu and orders him to retreat with what valuables he can and destroy everything else. Tambor is rather alarmed, but Dooku explains Ryloth's fate will demonstrate to the galaxy the cost of a Republic victory. Mace and the 2 troopers come across a patrol of battle droid looking for another lost patrol, but instead of defeating him, Mace allows the rebels to attack them. They come across the freedom fighters, but Cham Syndulla is rather adamant against giving his help to the Republic. TA-175 notifies Tambor that bombers are ready for launch and states he will ready Tambor's ship for evacuation. However, Tambor is not ready to leave. Mace, Razor, and Stack accompany Cham to his hideout under a wrecked C-9979 landing craft. Mace mentions that they can stop another massacre from happening, but Cham states that when the droids invaded, the Republic was unable to help and they were forced to surrender. Then the Separatists brought tanks to exterminate them. Stack examines a blurg, but after it snaps at him, Tay Boone chuckles and mentions that his blurg is faster than the riding machines, though Stack is doubtful.
I think it's the first mention of blurgs.
I think so.
I know of blurgs from The Mandalorian because they're a more central thing, but I think this is probably the first time that at least they're named.
Yeah, because we've seen them. I think we see them on Tatooine in one of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
But they're probably named. They're probably named in a visual encyclopedia or something. But not their names are never spoken in any media.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a cool moment. Oh, blurgs! I know what that is now. I remember those.
Yep, that was good. All right. Where am I? Yep. All All right, despite his misgivings about the Republic, Cham displays the tradition of the Twi'leks to give their guests whatever food and drink they still have. Separatist bombers launch, and Tambor targets all villages within range, starting with inhabited ones. Hans leads his troops and the ATTEs to a village where he plans to spare some of their rations to the hungry Twi'lek women and children in the village. The village is suddenly blasted to bits by the bombers. Cham tells Mace that he doesn't trust Senator Ta, despite the fact that the clone troopers will stay for a while after the war to ensure the security and keep the peace. Cham insists that another armed occupation is not a free Ryloth. Syndulla asks how long it will be before he's fighting the Republic and the Jedi. As the two receive a report from Pons about the destroyed villages, Cham decides that he will speak to Ta. Tambor oversees the loading of valuables onto a shuttle by Twi'lek slaves, and a droid tells Tambor that 2 more transports are still coming from the south sector. Thus, Tambor decides to wait for the last of his valuables of the world to arrive, and will be loaded onto his shuttle, much to the fury of Dooku, who wants him out of the city before Republic arrives. Once Windu has invaded the city, Dooku orders it be bombed from afar. Man, this interchange between Tambor and Dooku about Tambor is just like tapping the brakes as much as he can, like just stalling to get as much cash and gold out of Ryloth as he can. It's ultimately his downfall. Like we see, he's and Dooku's just like, get the hell out of there, like I need you out now, and he's like, no, I can get more cash. It was like I'm gonna keep, it's like pride and greed are like keeping him there. It's oh man. All right. Great. So TA-175 will bomb the city despite what Tambor wants. Cham and Senator Ta engage in a holographic conference and begin to verbally spar. Mace regulates the conference, and Anakin reports that his fighters are trying to destroy the bombers, but there are too many. Mace instructs him to destroy the bombers and then meet him at the capital, and Anakin continues to engage the bombers with the assistance of his Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. With assistance from Mace, Cham and Ta reach an agreement. Ta will not let Ryloth fall to another armed occupation, while Cham promises he will not seek power and rallies his men. Meanwhile, as battle droids, this is a cool moment.
Quick.
Yeah, this is a cool moment.
I think this is an important moment to talk about because Orn Free Ta ends up being a pretty important character, and the relationship between him and Cham and the people of Ryloth is one of the it's an interesting ongoing kind of story throughout the Clone Wars. So Orn Free Ta is a selfish senator who lives on Coruscant and doesn't actually care about his people, and we he shows his true face later on in the series, but for the moment it looks like they are kind of in agreement. But yeah, there's a whole lot of conflict there that we will see later on. But yeah, Orn Free Ta sucks.
He's terrible. Not good. Not a good guy.
Yeah. This is also the first time we hear him speak. I don't think he's ever had a speaking role up until this episode. So.
Huh. I didn't realize that. All right, so meanwhile, battle droids escort the civilians of Lasu to the outer wall to slow Mace Windu down. As Mace and Cham discover this, they spot 2 MTTs making their way toward the city. Cham reports that his spies say that they are filled with stolen treasure, and they decide to use them to get across and activate the bridge despite the chance of being scanned. Mace, Razor, and Stack slice a battle droid on a stap and enter the rear transport while Cham prepares to lead the attack. Mace orders Pons to create a diversion and get Lightning Squadron ready. The plasma bridge is activated for the transports, and they begin to cross. Tambor prepares to leave with the last of his treasures. However, the battle droids scan the transports, and they pick up an anomaly on the second transport. As the droids open the transport's doors, Mace and the troopers exit the transport and destroy the 2 battle droids, while the Republic forces begin to open fire. The bridge is deactivated, and Mace uses the Force to push Razor and Stack across. Mace uses an STAP to get to the other side, and the battle droids begin the attack on the 3. This is a cool little moment, just of the
yes.
Mace.
We have to talk about
being nuts.
Yeah, this is honestly the coolest Mace Windu moment, I think.
Yeah.
It's so they're standing on this bridge, this hollow bridge or whatever. It turns off, and Mace pushes these 2 clones to the edge so that they're able to get to safety before as the bridge is turning off. Then Mace begins falling, and then he like runs up the side of the tank that is falling with him, jumps off of it, jumps through the air, grabs onto like a flying like battle droid on a thing, and then like flips up on top of it and force jumps across through the air to the other side, and does it all like super gracefully, and it's sort of in slow motion, and like the music stops for this whole sequence, and it's such a cool like
it was cool.
It makes Windu casually doing something so incredible.
Yeah,
it was
nuts.
It was awesome.
All right,
it's one of those few moments where like Mace tends to be kind of a quieter, like, you know, not a necessarily an impressive character most of the time. We don't get to see him like let loose, but this is one of those moments where it's like, oh, he's very good at what he does.
Yeah,
Mace is like,
oh yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
He does. All right. Where were we? All right. Mace takes out an entire droid squad and tank on his own, while Razor and Stack get the bridge up just in time for Cham, Pons, and their forces to cross. The citizens of Lasu wave happily at the passing freedom fighters. Mace instructs Cham to take care of the droids while he finds Tambor. The freedom fighters and Lightning Squadron take out the AATs and the droids quickly. In the control room, Razor and Stack are ambushed by several battle droids and 2 commando droids, but they defeat them. TA-175 lifts off in the shuttle without waiting for Tambor, much to the latter's surprise. This was kind of funny. The droid is like, I'm getting out of here. Like, it was a droid. It's like, no, I'm not waiting for this guy, even though it was like not his ship. And Tambor's like, oh, my ship, it's going away. My ship. Oh no, my ship. It was funny.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yep. TA-175 reports to Dooku regarding Tambor's refusal to retreat in time. Despite his unfortunate setback, Dooku gives the order for bombers to destroy the city immediately. Mace subdues Tambor's 2 super battle droid guards and holds Tambor at bay. Tambor tries to reason with the Jedi, but Windu refuses since he has the upper hand. Tambor then states that a surrender is unnecessary since bombers are coming, and they will both perish for the glory of the Separatist Alliance. While the bombers approach, Anakin and Ahsoka attack and destroy them. Freedom fighters and clone troopers surround Tambor. Tambor then asks Cham for terms of surrender. Cham states that they are unconditional, and Tambor reluctantly agrees. Syndulla thanks Windu for freeing his world. Later, Cham and Senator Ta waved the people in a parade with both the freedom fighters and the clone forces, with Windu and Pons watching in satisfaction. Ryloth is free. The end.
Huzzah.
Very good arc. Very, very good arc. It's definitely one of like the more important arcs in the Clone Wars. Just in terms,
it sets up a lot of things.
It does.
Because the kind of the people of Ryloth and Cham Syndulla and their kind of place in the war, and also their relationship with Orn Free Taa ends up being one of the major kind of plot lines that gets returned to multiple times over the course of the Clone Wars. It's just it's one of I think the main kind of examples of like, here's what one particular world is like when they get caught in the middle of this war, and how does it affect these people, and you know, how does somebody who represents these people and their interests react to this war, and like the idea that like neither side is great. Like maybe being with the Republic is technically better, but it's still, like you said, it's like, you know, if the clones are still around, they're still an occupied planet and they're not free. And, you know, there's still political machinations, political interests in play at all times. But it's just a quality episode with some really good action sequences and some fun like strategies and some back and forth, and there's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff happening in these episodes. It was also cool because it was one arc, but it was like each episode felt really standalone. Like you'd watch each of them individually and be like, this is a good just standalone episode, but it was about one thing. We also got a different focus of characters for each one. Like the first episode was Anakin and Ahsoka mainly, and then the second episode was about the clones, basically those 2 clones and Obi-Wan essentially, and then the third episode was about Mace and the clones and Cham. So like it was really cool. We got a bunch of different, you know, stars these episodes. Do you have one favorite part? I know I'm really short on time, but like, do you have a favorite part? We'll get through this quick. I think my 2 favorite parts that come to mind are the cool Mace Windu moment where he does the bridge thing. That was incredible. And also the moment at the end of the second episode when it's revealed that the little Twilight girl was saying brothers that whole time. That was my favorite part for sure. That and Ahsoka's plan working.
in the first episode.
That was rad. That was good.
Yeah.
Satisfying. What about MVP? I feel like I want to give it to the little Twilight girl.
I do too.
Like...
Yeah. I mean, I initially I was gonna say Ahsoka, then the Twilight girl, and then Mace Windu. I was like, no, it's Nira. It's Nira.
Numa.
Numa. Dang it, Nira's brother in Twilight Key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Numa. Way to go, Numa. You did it.
Yeah. So I was gonna say this is the only time that Numa will get a chance at being like MVP, but it turns out Numa shows up later in Rebels, like
really?
As an adult, apparently. Yeah,
that's so cool.
So
I like
that's
that.
rad.
Yeah, we'll see that in about a year.
Yeah. Numa, super cool. I mean, honestly, because it's I don't know, she's adorable, but also the fact that she does actually end up being really helpful. Like she helps those two clones, but also helps all of the clones free her people, like by showing them the underground passageways and everything. So like, yeah, she deserves MVP
for sure.
Totally,
I agree. All right, we do technically have a voicemail from Jason, but we're gonna cut it for time. We'll do it next time. It was a fun question, but it is almost midnight and I got work in the morning, so we're gonna call it here. Jack Boyd, it's been great. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Any closing thoughts before we log off?
Closing thoughts. Chomps and Dula, exciting. Orn Free Ta sucks. Numa MVP and Ahsoka incredible. Yep. I'm excited to see what awaits us in the next episode.
For sure. Bring on Thrawn. Let's go.
Bring on Thrawn. Let's do it.
All right.
Bye everybody. May the Force be with you. Have a good night. And soup. Soup is good.
Soup is good.
Our sponsor, Soup.
All right. Cut the chatter. Later, dude.
Cut the chatter. Roger.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Cut the chatter. Roger.